Flag is in the corner.
Doctor, let me hold.
Call the meeting out of recess. Please join me in a pledge of allegiance to the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our first item of business is that the council, sitting as the Board of License Commissioners, will open a remonstrance hearing for the awarding of liquor licenses or retail beverage license renewals. I'll read the entities and ask if any person present has a remonstrant comment to make that comment at the time. The Class A licenses are for Adamsville Wine and Spirits. Seeing no one. Meeting House Spirits. Seeing no one. Class BV Limited, one license, that is to Commons Lunch. Seeing no comment. For the Class BV license, there are two, the Barn Restaurant. Seeing none. And Stonehouse Resort. Seeing no remonstrant comment. Finally, the Class D license, the Saconnet Golf Club. Any remonstrant comment? And the Saconnet Point Club. Seeing no comment. There being no comments, I am ready to close the remonstrance hearing, which we will then continue as the Board of License Commissioners. Are there any questions from the council with respect to the hearing? Thank you. Then, as the Board of License Commissioners, I would put before you the following entities who are petitioning for a victualling license.
Sir,
and
before you move, I need you to vote on the renewal of those licenses.
Motion to renew all liquor licenses with
Second.
all state and local ordinances met.
Are they all renewals? There's no.
They're all, that was a typo. There should not have been any transfer lists.
Okay.
All renewals, and that's contingent upon meeting all state and local.
I said that, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Said it well.
Meening all state and
Said it well.
requirements.
Said it well.
the motion is then made and seconded to approve the renewal of the 7 licenses that we just entertained in the remonstrance hearing. And it has been seconded. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Then continuing, the victualling and holiday sales licenses are requested by the following entities: A1 Pizza, the Art Cafe, the Barn Restaurant, Carol and Saconnet Vineyard, Commons Lunch, Saconnet Golf Club, Saconnet Point Club, Stonehouse Wilbur Store, Young Family Farm, and Warrens Point Beach Club. Is there a motion to approve both victualling and holiday sales for those entities?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Now, one additional entity has petitioned for a holiday sales license only, and that's Meeting House Spirits.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Aye. The following mobile food establishments have petitioned for a license: Anita's Ice Cream, Seashore Hot Dogs, Greenwood Chicken, McRae's Seafood, and Onshore Brewing.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Aye. Are there any opposed? The only other license is a moving picture license petitioned by the Little Compton Community Center.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
That completes the work of the Board of License Commissioners, and we're ready to move into the rest of the agenda. By way of announcements, I would like to make you aware of the fact that our building official, Dean Simmons, has nearly completed his construction of a new town hall sign, which includes a shield, the shield of the town in the center of it. And that will be ready for installation as a part of our reopening of the town hall. A great new addition to the front of the building, helping us to present a face that is that's very appropriate and at the same time very historical. Town Hall.
A thank you goes out to Dean Simmons, our building official.
Thank you. The next, are there any other announcements? Seeing none, approval of minutes, first of October 19th, which was our last regular meeting.
Motion to approve October 19th, 2023 Town Council meeting as written, unless anybody has any questions, comments, or corrections.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded. Is there any other comments? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thanks. Next item is the October 23rd meeting of the council.
I'll move the October 23, 2023 council meeting with the same motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Next, department head reports, a single report, that from the administrator. If you haven't taken a moment to look through that, there's a great deal of information that's been happening, and I would recommend that to you, from the status of the town hall restoration to both forms of paving, both state and local paving preparations, the community learning center funding, and the fact that we're about to receive net metering profits to offset our electric bills. Lots of good stuff there. Administrator, anything you'd like to bring up?
I'd like to pull one.
Go ahead.
The road paving program, the town submitted the application to receive the allocation, $281,000 from the state for the proposed roads of John Dyer Road, John Sisson Town Way, and Taylor's Way. Just give us a timeline on that, please,
As to the paving,
to the project.
the paving of these roads, we're looking at spring, summer of next year.
Next summer, next year.
Although we're trying to coordinate with the RIDOT, because RIDOT is also want to do their work at the Commons, and so if we can piggyback on the same contract, that it certainly would be a savings.
Yeah, I didn't see the RIDOT on here, so I didn't ask about it.
Right,
I'm sure I'll see it
yes.
soon.
It'll be a balancing act, because we need to be sure that we don't close all of the north-south roads in town at the same time by two different entities. I think we have the skills to be able to.
I do see it on here. It says they continue to gather info from the town, conflicts with carrying out the paving, curbing, and sidewalks. So there's no timeline on that.
And they had 90% completion of engineering, and they closing the loop right now. What they're trying to do is make sure we don't have conflict with the activities that may be occurring in town.
Right, so when they met here with us, it was a very good meeting.
Yes.
I think they had like 10 people here, and they promised they would come back again. We have a date for that?
I don't, but I will be working on one for them to return.
Right. You get to update.
Remember also, that project is, in their mind, the Tiverton Little Compton paving project. So they have a tremendous amount of work to do to our north,
12 miles total.
and then
Yeah.
they'll be here as well. So it is, the coordination will be key, to be able to be sure that we're ready for them when they're ready for us.
Tony,
Yes.
how is the town hall restoration coming? Are we pretty much, I know they're doing the clerk's office right now, but
Right. They've been working pretty hard. In fact, the painters have been in. They painting the DPW office, the clerk's office, they almost completed there. They have to give one more coat. They've done the windows, the woodwork. They're coming back to do the walls, redo the walls, for, I believe, the second or third time that they're doing the walls right now. And they're working in the 2 bathrooms. So we're looking at hopefully complete all the painting by tomorrow. So that once they've cleared that, we should be able to begin the carpeting, and doing the floor in the bathrooms.
do you anticipate any cost overruns?
Well, we've had some change orders.
Yeah.
And obviously for much of the work that we've had to do.
And the only other question I had, probably last spring when we met at the community center, the seniors asked for us for a needs assessment for a senior center. Did we ever, we were supposed to do one, did that ever come to fruition?
It didn't come to fruition, but I have a contact, that we can follow through. I can reach out to them, find out what they would cost, and bring it to the council.
Because I've had a couple of people ask me about that, there was supposed to be a needs assessment. So to figure out whether we really needed to do anything with the fire station. That's it for me. I'll make a motion to place on file.
I'll second it.
Discussion. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. The next item is the first of old business, and that's to receive recommendation and award of bid for engineering services for reconstruction of the town's tennis courts. Councilor McHugh has provided you with a one-pager that's in front of you, and I'll defer to him to describe the committee's efforts thus far.
Thank you. Bring everyone up to speed. We had an ad hoc committee interview 2 engineers for the project. At the last town financial meeting, the town approved $250,000 for the tennis court rehabilitation. So we have done that. I want to thank the ad hoc committee for their efforts, and we have chosen the engineering firm of Activitas. And I have one in front of you, councilors, is phase 1, and it's $24,100. And you can see there were 2 additions to that. One was a survey, a technical soil survey, so we can find out what it looks like under the tennis court, so we don't have any problems. I think we're all impressed with Activitas. But to move forward, I would recommend referring to the town administrator to engage Activitas in a contract to execute phase 1. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Motion to allow the town administrator to sign a contract for the $24,100.
Second.
Discussion on that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thanks. And thank you to the committee for that effort. The next is to review the status of the Town Way project approval by CRMC. I placed this item on the agenda anticipating that the CRMC might have it and be able to act on it. They do not, it has not yet been submitted to them. It's awaiting one signature that needs to come out of our end, then it will go. So I don't have anything other than to say that CRMC will have in their hands in the next day or so the specifics of Able Engineering's recommended stormwater management of Town Way. And that then, if you remember, Town Way is also one of the roads we intend to repair. So what we're trying to do is to ensure that both the stormwater, I'll call it tune-up of the surface, and the repaving of the road in its full length all the way to the top is done simultaneously. I have nothing more to report than that at this point, unless there's any question.
Like to table that?
I will bring it back because we'll have CRMC's result, and I'll make that a new item. We don't need to table in that sense, no.
Mr. President,
Yes,
you need an approval to submit the plans with a letter to CRMC for them to approve the permitting for us to go to the next phase of construction. So we need a vote tonight on that.
thank you. I was not aware of that.
Just to give permission for us to submit the plans to CRMC
I
in
will,
order to get the permitting,
thank you.
and them clear the road, the blocks, so we can move to the construction phase, which will come back to you with an RFP for construction.
Do this under old business 2.
I would entertain, I'm sorry,
We'll do this under old business 2.
also, you mean?
Yeah.
I'll entertain then a motion to approve the submittal of the Town Way project stormwater management plan to CRMC.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah, just so we understand, I haven't seen it. I don't know if anyone else here has seen it. I guess we're approving sending something to them. Is that what we're
Yes.
saying? We're not approving,
That was,
do I see it in my packet?
no, it's not in your packet, but the plans were available in my office,
Yeah, they were in the council chamber.
town council chambers
Yeah.
as well.
So I'm not an expert on reading plans,
Right,
so I know that the engineer's not here today.
right, because,
And those plans,
right, this is strictly just for the stormwater. The construction plan is going to come before you, so you're going to have an opportunity to review in its entirety, what it's proposed for construction.
Okay. All in favor of the motion to approve the submittal?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The next is to review the latest version of proposed changes to 3 town ordinances, chapters 3, 4, and 5. 3 is police regulations, 4 animal control, and 5 is traffic. This packet that's in front of you, I believe, will be ready, not I believe, is ready for us to approve for a public hearing, in that it incorporates all of the comments that have been made thus far.
Do we have a date for a public hearing?
No, to establish that. And we'll need to-
I'll move for the public hearing, but we need to establish a date for it.
Okay, let me just be sure that folks are, there are no questions as to what has been put together.
I have a comment.
Yeah.
So in between 3-3.3, the cannabis smoking, vaporizing, I know we had discussed prohibiting use of tobacco smoking and vaporizing as well at our last meeting. So I didn't know if that was something we wanted to include. I did come up with language that we could maybe use if the solicitor wants to take a look at it.
I'm actually familiar with the language of tobacco. I'm sure it's fine.
Okay.
I mean, it's fairly standard language around the state.
Well, I came up with something that was similar to the existing cannabis wording here. And put it in as a separate line underneath the cannabis smoking.
You want to read it?
Yeah, so my proposal would be that we, under 3-3.4, that becomes tobacco smoking, vaporizing in public areas prohibited. And it would read, no person shall smoke or vaporize tobacco products in public areas, including outdoor common areas, parks, beaches, athletic and recreational facilities, and other public areas. And then the penalty would then become 3-3.5.
Consider that an amendment? An addition?
Well,
A motion?
let's react.
Well, that's what
What's
I'm
the
reacting
reaction of the
to.
council?
As much as I support, because I don't believe in smoking a vaporizer anywhere, I'm just wondering, it's a legal thing you can do. And if you were walking down the street smoking a cigarette, there's nothing that the chief could enforce anyway. I don't.
Well, it's a legal thing to be able to smoke marijuana walking down the street. That's why we're, that's
Yeah,
why.
but that comes more under a statute of, not really a narcotic, but like alcohol.
Yeah, but
I'm not
cigarettes are-
against it.
Cigarettes are a controlled substance too. You have to be 18 years old to buy a
I
cigarette.
just don't know if it's enforceable. I mean,
Is it? Is it enforceable?
If it's written, it's enforceable. The discretion is very gray.
Sure.
If somebody's walking down South Shore Beach smoking a cigarette in the parking lot, he can be fined.
So the same, so you're also arguing against your wording for the smoking and vaporizing of cannabis products.
I think that's a little bit different.
Why? There's discretion there too, right? As I use the same
Marijuana.
exact, I use the same exact.
Drive, people can't smoke marijuana and drive.
Yeah, but you're saying no person shall smoke or vaporize cannabis in public areas, including outdoor common areas, parks, beaches, athletic and recreational facilities, and other public areas.
Correct.
So that doesn't address the driving aspect, which already exists.
Yeah, the driving aspect already exists.
So
Frank,
there is discretion in the wording of this proposal here.
there's discretion in all the town ordinances.
Yeah, so what's wrong with
So
with
Chief,
adding? I
Chief,
mean,
is
I mean,
there-
my thing about it is, it's a nuisance factor. I think we discussed last time that this is because it seems that smoking is a nuisance when you're making someone else breathe in their smoke.
Mhm.
And I find that that's the same way with tobacco products, and maybe even more so. I mean, the CDC says that for non-smoking adults, when they're exposed to secondhand smoke, there's a 20 to 30% increase of their chance to get lung cancer. So it's also a health factor, I think, on top of that. So it's up to us to decide. I guess.
Is there a different level of I forget the word now.
Discretion?
Of discretion, thank you, with someone smoking a joint or smoking a cigarette in a recreational facility in Little Compton?
I think there is a difference.
What is it?
Well, at one point marijuana was illegal. And I think because of the altering nature of marijuana, it leads to other factors.
So you'd be more inclined to cite someone smoking a joint than a cigarette in a Little Compton
I
recreational?
think we'd be more inclined to notice someone smoking marijuana because of the different smell. What happens after that is, again, the discretion of the officer and the situation at hand. Are we standing in the middle of the playground during recess, or are we just walking around the track at the field?
But someone could smoke a cigarette in the middle of the playground at recess.
They could, and I'm sure that one of the adults there would probably ask them to put it up.
But they don't have, to, and they can't get cited for doing it.
Yes, true. I can't cite people for not being courteous.
The origin of the prohibition of using marijuana in a public area was, I believe, advanced by those who were concerned that when they were there in the public area, they didn't want to be subjected to secondhand smoke. I am not aware, although I am certainly willing to be persuaded otherwise, that the same level of concern has been brought forward to us by the public regarding tobacco. I have not ever had someone say that to me, that they feel that we should do something about the fact that at the gathering of the public, the secondhand nature of someone now using legal marijuana is something that they don't want, for instance, their children exposed to. I think your argument is the same argument could be made with respect to tobacco, which has been here for an awfully long time and has been in this mode. And I don't have people saying that.
Well, I'm saying it.
Okay.
And I have heard from people that don't like to be subjected to secondhand smoke in public areas.
Would you like to make a motion for an amendment?
I'll make the motion to amend it.
I'll second
My
the motion.
Is it enforceable, solicitor?
Yes.
All right, the motion, the amendment has been made and seconded. Is there discussion on the amendment?
I just, job sites all the time, and guys are smoking. I mean, I don't like it, but it's their right. I just,
Someone's right to smoke marijuana, too.
I think that what I'm finding is cigarette smoke isn't going to alter you. Marijuana smoke is going to alter you.
I just told you that the CDC said there have been multiple studies about secondhand smoke.
yeah, most,
But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about marijuana smoke will alter your brain, where cigarette smoke, if somebody, secondhand cigarette smoke is not good for you, I agree with that, but it's not going to alter you. If you smoke a joint and then you go drive somewhere, you're going to be under the influence. If you smoke a cigarette and drive somewhere, you're not going to be under the influence. I don't smoke cigarettes. I don't smoke anything. So.
Yeah, but
this-
the discussion about this was that the reason it came up was because it's a public nuisance.
Okay.
It's not about, this wasn't brought up because of the safety of it. It was the public nuisance of smoking
Okay.
around other people.
I just think this would target, I don't even know how to phrase it, a certain class of people who, I don't
You get targeted smokers.
well, yeah, but who are the smokers? What class of people are the smokers?
High class.
They're usually not people with a lot of money. They're usually a lot of people that are, I don't want to trip over something stupid to say, but I just think this is gonna target a certain group of people that smoke, and I don't think it's fair to them. I mean, as bad as it is, they smoke, and as far as the CDC and secondhand smoke, most of that's in closed areas. If someone's out in a public parking lot smoking a cigarette and you're 5 cars away, the secondhand smoke's not gonna be an issue. If you're standing right next to them, it might be. But if you're not in an enclosed area, you're outside, I don't know, I'm worried about the police force here trying to enforce this. It seems to put an awful onus on them that,
Like any of these ordinances, all discretion is applied. So if it's in there, it's in there, and that's fine. That's part of the town ordinances, and each individual officer will use their discretion in that certain situation, whether it's enforceable or not. So don't worry about us. We'll do what the ordinance says, but with different levels of discretion.
Yes.
Just a question. We prohibit to have tobacco smoking inside public buildings. Is that correct? Is that based on state law or town?
That's a state law.
State law.
That's a Workplace Safety Act.
Okay.
You can't smoke indoors in any public facility except the casinos.
Except the casino. Okay. Thank you.
This one seems to me to be, yes, go ahead.
So I think the council has to ask themselves, why do you look to control this? Because the state didn't do a very good job. Right? The state made marijuana the equivalent of tobacco, where in fact it's the equivalent of alcohol. It's altering, right? So you think that in public places, you don't want consumption of alcohol for obvious reasons, right? It leads to other issues. The consumption, for me, the wording of this would be better to say consumption, because someone could be eating edibles next to you, you would never know, but yet you're going down the path just because you can smell it, right? And that's, the last 30 years, most of us thought about it, just the smell, and that was marijuana, the smell that came from growing marijuana. But quite frankly, more and more people are consuming by things other than
Vapor.
Right, so vapor or actually smoking of the green stuff. So I would think that the council would look to be restricting consumption in any way, because it's a public place and you're looking to mitigate issues down the road of individuals who are under the influence. That's why I think the state did a terrible job, and from the Police Chiefs Association, when we were talking to the legislatures, we tried to divert them away, that they made the equivalent of tobacco. You can drive with it, you can have open containers of it, unless it's medical marijuana, and medical marijuana has to be in packaging, but this doesn't. So from a town's perspective, I think you want to look at it more of a consumption and what the altering effect is, not just the fact that they're winding it up because of tobacco. That's my 2 cents.
so would that be cannabis consumption, smoking, vaporizing in public?
Yeah, consumption in any way. I believe the definition of the cannabis covers oil and all of that, but the first 2 words there, I don't have it in front of me, but is smoking or vaporize. It doesn't say other eating or anything else.
So
If I may, other community, good point. Other communities have used the phrase use of the cannabis products as opposed to just the smoking. And that addresses that point.
So you could edit this to say no person shall use cannabis products?
Correct.
shall use
That could be your next amendment.
cannabis products, shall use any form of cannabis product.
Any form of cannabis products, correct.
Would you make the same change to your proposed amendment?
I'm more than happy to withdraw my second if you want to withdraw it and make another amendment,
Well,
a different amendment. Add to
Well,
it.
so this would be different from my amendment. I would keep my amendment as is. For me, my amendment was from the nuisance factor. You know, if someone's using dip or something, you know, in my opinion, they're not smoking it, it's not going out into the air and causing a nuisance to people around them. I don't think that should be prohibited. I don't think it's a great habit to have, but I don't think we should ban it the same way that we're banning all cannabis products for
Well, Andrew's
a
got-
different reason. So
Andrew's got a motion on
Yeah.
the table. Want to vote on it?
Yes, but here, let me comment on that. I think that adding tobacco use in public areas being prohibited to this particular ordinance at this point in time is counterproductive. I don't think it achieves the objective. We ought to limit, or we ought to do whatever we're going to do about cannabis products, and then in a subsequent effort, say, all right, that's enforceable, that happens, that resulted in people not doing it. I'm just not sure that were we to say, as the town council, you can't smoke in the commons, the next thing we'll do is walk out the door and someone will be smoking in the commons. And so it implies that we're, I'll call it virtue signaling, that we don't think tobacco smoking is a good idea, but frankly, we're not interested in enforcing it, is my opinion. Now, that's where I stand on it. So if there are no other comments, we'll address then a motion for an amendment that would add this 334 tobacco, and we can decide whether it's use or smoking or vaporizing in public areas to the proposed ordinance. So any other comments on that? Are you ready to vote on that amendment? All in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Aye. Counselor McHugh?
I said aye.
Very lightly.
I said it loud, didn't I?
2 in favor,
Didn't hear it? I'm sorry. I must have fell asleep.
3 opposed.
I said aye. Did you hear
2 in
it?
favor.
Did you hear it?
They were opposed, I heard it.
Thank you, Carol.
2 in favor, 3 opposed. The amendment does not carry. Now, is there a motion to amend 333 as originally proposed from cannabis smoking, vaporizing to cannabis use in public areas prohibited?
make that motion.
I'll second it.
Discussion on that. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Then,
On
yeah,
false alarms,
yes, 3-4.2.
yeah. Chief, how many false alarms do we have in town? Because when I see your report, it looks like there's quite a few. Are they repeat false alarms? Okay. Very few, okay, because I know we have an ordinance, because when a false alarm goes off, does the tanker and everything go, or? Yeah.
Residential alarm, yes.
Yeah, so the whole thing goes, so that's a cost to the town when that happens. Okay. I just didn't know whether a written warning and then a 25,
After we get, maybe after the second one, but generally we take care of it if there's.
okay. So you think a written warning, $25 fine and $50 fine is okay? Okay.
To move this then to the next step, what public hearing requirements are there?
Well, none of them are zoning, so I only have to advertise for 1 week. I could probably pull it off the next council meeting, the 16th, but it would be better for me, timing wise, because of the election next week, for it to be the
First
first
meeting
meeting
of
in December.
December.
I'm out of town next Thursday, the 16th.
Okay,
I would
so
not be
December
available.
7th then.
So December 7th, would be the public hearing of this as it's written, as it has been amended.
Bob, I had a couple more comments.
Okay.
I don't want to belabor the meeting, but on the schedule of fines pertaining to the animal control penalties, first offense 25, second offense 50, third offense 100. Page 6, 4-6 schedule of fines. I think that should be increased from 25 to 50, second offense 50 to 100, and third offense 200.
Is that your motion?
Yeah,
I'll second it.
The motion then is made and seconded to amend section 4.6, schedule of fines, to double each of the three figures in red, from 25 to 50, 50 to 100, and 100 to 200. Any discussion?
Yeah, I'm just worried about someone who has a dog, like an older person, and the dog gets loose all the time. And
Take that into consideration, Gary. Paul, sorry.
discretion.
discretion.
Can't say it enough.
Any other discussion?
100.
Are you ready to vote? All in favor of the motion to make the amendment that we just spoke of? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
5-15.9 penalties.
I'm sorry, the motion then carries 4-1. Go ahead, Councilman.
It's about no parking, tow zones. I believe it was $20 for in a no parking area, which was cost of doing business for people who parked in no parking areas. It's been increased to $50 per violation, 100 for parking in a no parking zone. I've been after that for a long time, and I appreciate the chief concurring with me on that. There's one other thing, no parking banned zones. There's supposed to be a circle at Secana Point that encompasses Bluffhead Avenue, and there was a red line around it.
Right.
Okay, so that red line hasn't been repainted down there in a long time. And on Saturday nights and Friday nights, sometimes it's only to get into where you park. They park right in the circle. Sometimes you can't. I know you're not going to be able to get an ambulance in there if there's some kind of situation. So I'm not sure who's responsible for painting that red circle again, but I'd like to see that done.
Has that been an issue down there? Turning around?
Yeah.
Have you spoken to the Point Club about reminding? Because I mean, that's generally what happened, where.
I don't know, it's the Point Club or fishermen.
No,
Well, I think all it takes is one person to start the line and then people go in there, you know?
Yeah, the line
Yeah,
that
goes
they
out in the middle
yeah,
of the
yeah, it goes
circle.
way out. Last Saturday night, there was only room for, I mean, they were trying to squeeze in to get into the parking area. If an ambulance has to get in there, they're not going to get in there. Last person that painted it was, Bill Moore had it. He was the director of town roads. So maybe, Tony, you can see if the new director can get a red circle painted down there. Brick's where it's supposed to go, and then it goes between the two parking signs, so we don't have a catastrophe down there. And those are the only comments I had. Thank you.
Thank you.
The motion was made and seconded, sir.
It's already been approved.
For the-
I made a motion and it got seconded to have the public hearing, but we were waiting for a date.
I never even heard that part.
Okay. then
Gary jumped in.
I move we have a public hearing on the date, December 7th.
Second.
And as modified in section, what was it, 3.3, 3-3.3
And
And
4-6.
and 4-6.
3.42D fines. Oh, no, we didn't do that.
0.6.
The changes then that were
Yeah.
made and through amendments are
4-6.
to amend 4-6 and also to amend the wording to remove, to replace with the word use as opposed to
Smoking,
smoking
vaporizing,
and whatever the other word was,
smoking, vaporizing,
smoking and vaporizing. Thank you.
eliminate them and go to
Okay.
3.3-3.3.
So those two changes were amended. Other than that, the motion then is to make those changes, publish the document, and proceed to or schedule a public hearing for December 7th. That accurate?
There you go, sir.
Okay. And that motion has been made. Is it seconded?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The next item of business is to receive draft zoning ordinance amendments from the town solicitor for referral to the planning board for comment and recommendation. Said amendments are submitted in response to a recent change in state law effective January 1st.
Did the planning board get a copy of this? Did you get a copy of it, Mike?
Well, actually, it's in the packets for next Tuesday.
Okay.
What you're gonna need to do, the action tonight is two things. First, to set this one down for a public hearing based on the state law for zoning amendments. And secondly, a formal referral, although they already have it, to the planning board for their recommendation. I can tell you that I've already discussed the matter with the zoning board. They don't have a formal role in this, but I did want them to know what the changes would be to the zoning ordinance because they're the ones that would administer it. They're also going to discuss it at their November meeting also. If you want me to just go through briefly what the changes are, I can do that. These are significant changes to the Zoning Enabling Act. The first time in, well, about 30, a little over 30 years. So, and I also have some recommended changes along the way. The first one is, and I just want to preface it by saying that these changes apply statewide. There's some provisions that, in my opinion, would not apply to the town of Little Compton. I'll give you an example. There is provisions in the Enabling Act for adaptive reuse of buildings. Now, that's very appropriate for communities in the Blackstone and Patuxent Valleys. They have a lot of older mills. They're not appropriate for industrial uses anymore, more appropriate for housing. That makes it easier to develop those types of structures. It doesn't seem to me, and I think the zoning board agreed, that you don't have those type of structures down here. So I didn't include anything for adaptive reuse because it's not anything that you're gonna be able to use. Another area is inclusionary zoning. While I think that your provisions for inclusionary zoning meet the state standards, currently what you have in the zoning ordinance, I'm actually gonna recommend that you delete those references for now, so that we can take a better look at it and rather than rush through on the whole thing. Secondly, and this one is going to have an effect for substandard lots of record. Your current ordinance allows for a reduction of 15% for setbacks and 10% for lot coverage for substandard lots of record. Most of the applications that go before the zoning board are for substandard lots. That's because your residential zone is R80, which is 2 acre lots. The new law requires the reduction for setbacks to be in the same proportion as the lot area of the subject lot to the minimum lot size. At the same time, the lot coverage ratio increases by the same proportion. I think that's going to have a significant impact because of the size you have under the zoning ordinance compared to the size of some of your substandard original lots of record. The next one is for accessory dwelling units. The definition of an accessory dwelling unit is now defined as a unit in a primary dwelling, a detached unit, or a unit that's an accessory structure. Your ordinance now has a minimum of 3 acres for an accessory dwelling unit. State statute sets the minimum at 20,000 square feet for the lot size. That needs to be changed.
Here's another big change. Building official modifications. This is going to put more pressure on your building official. New law mandates that the building official is authorized to grant modification permits if the zoning relief needed is 15% or less for dimensional variances. The building official is required to make a determination as to whether the modification is suitable. The criteria is in the statute, it'll be in the ordinance. If the zoning relief needed is 5% or less, the building official has the authority to issue the modification with no notice to neighbors. If the zoning relief needed is between 5% and 15%, the building official gives notice to the abutters and in the newspaper. If there are no timely objections, that's within 14 days, the modification permit issues. If there is a timely objection, the matter is referred to the zoning board. So that's it.
I'm going to make a motion to put this to the planning board and get their comments to come back. And that would be my motion for right now. We can take up the second motion on the public hearing.
I'll second it.
Yes.
So the motion to move to the planning, board, what is expected from the planning board next Tuesday?
May I answer
Comments.
that?
Okay,
May
go
I
ahead.
answer that? Under the statute, you're just supposed to say whether or not the provisions, the amendments to the zoning ordinance comply with the comprehensive plan. I'm going to ask for more, though. I think it's appropriate for the planning board to weigh in on these changes and make any suggestions that you may have. One of them under the accessory dwelling unit ordinance, the gentleman, Don Medeiros, was there. He pointed out that there's a separate part for the ISDS. He doesn't feel that complies with the regulations on the DEM. That's a topic for discussion. Ordinarily, it'd be no. But because of this, because it's such a fundamental change to your zoning ordinance, I think it's more appropriate to weigh in on that and make a fuller report to the town council for their public hearing.
Because if they're increasing lot coverage on a substandard lot especially, then you've got IDS setbacks from wells. You've got runoff. A lot of these substandard lots are all clustered together, and if you start covering more of the lot, I mean, the reason we engineered these things was because the runoff from the roof of the water runs into your neighbor's yard.
That's correct, yes. Yeah, this is not, this is going to, there's going to be some serious issues, some of these provisions. And I think what you're gonna do is you're gonna have applicants saying, well, the state law allows me to do this. And I think that's one of the reasons why a conservative approach is the best here, to make sure that you don't create these types of nuisance issues in neighborhoods. And that's what I'm hoping the planning board takes a look at.
So there you go, Mike.
Motion was made and seconded, sir.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
You need to set it down for a public hearing.
Do we want to wait till we get comments back from the planning board for the public
The
hearing?
difficulty is under the
Timeline.
state law, you only have so many days to have it bounce back.
Carol, when's the next public hearing date available? For a zoning issue, it's 2 weeks, isn't it?
Well, I know I need 3 consecutive weeks to advertise. It can be December 7th.
I prefer if that's the case. The only reason I say that is because you got a January 1st deadline under the state law. If you do it in that month, if there's some issues that need to be changed, you still have one meeting in between
All right,
there and then.
I'll move the public hearing to combine with the other public hearing on December 7th.
I'll second it.
Discussion. All in favor?
And that'll give Mike two meetings to come back with something for us.
Better rate quick.
All in favor of
Aye.
the motion?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, Tony. I think you did a good job on that.
The next item is a invitation from Wilbur McMahon School to attend the annual Veterans Day Assembly on November 10th, which is a week from tomorrow.
Motion to place on file.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
You going?
Yes.
Bob and I generally go, yeah.
The next item is to consider reappointment of Andrew Iriarte Moore to continue to serve as the Little Compton representative on the Discover Newport Board for an ensuing 3-year term.
Still on board for that?
I'd be glad to do it.
Motion to approve.
And I'll second.
Discussion, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thanks. And thank you for being the one who takes it up again. The next is to appoint alternate members of the Board of Canvassers to represent each party on the board. Candidates are selected from lists provided by the local town committee. If you look in your packet, you have for this item, input from the Democrat Party nominating Leslie Fox, and from the Republican Town Committee nominating Lindsay Pinale.
Motion to approve both.
Motion's made and seconded to approve the recommendations of the two town committees. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. The next item is to receive and review a summary document from the Lincoln Financial Group, which describes a replacement 457B employee savings plan. What I'm going to tell you about what's in your packet is a 9-pager that is the data that will be used for Lincoln to create a document which doesn't exist right now to govern the plan to which a number of our employees, and as it turns out, at least one retired employee, invests. I don't, what I'd like you to understand is that Rob Mara and I have been in a series of Microsoft Teams discussions with the Lincoln Financial Group. We're bringing in UBS at the next pension committee meeting on Monday in order to get their perspective. The reason for making these modifications is to make our 457B governmental plan, which has no founding document. There is nothing that describes how it's to operate. We simply have people who've invested in it. Our intention will be to take, once that document comes back, to get council approval for that to be our governing document for the 457B plan. It also, by making this change, will do two things. It will reduce the fees that individual investors have to pay, so it's a plus for that, for them. They can continue to invest in the areas that they've asked to invest, but at a lower fee. And the second thing it will allow us to do is in negotiations with our unions to talk about a defined contribution plan, which could be another way to provide pension. The defined contribution plan would, by its nature, involve a contribution from the town to encourage the employee to contribute. But that's not the subject of what I'm trying to do this evening. All I would like to propose is that we direct Lincoln to produce this document so that we can review it.
So the benefit to the town is to have a plan in place for retirement funding.
Yes, if a number of hiring decisions have been tempered by, or at least we have been not the successful town at attracting an employee because we have no way of providing that employee with a pension plan other than our defined benefit plan, which requires vesting, et cetera, et cetera. So this would potentially be, and obviously this would be a town meeting issue, potentially be an alternative pension plan.
And Lincoln is gonna create this document for us?
Lincoln's creating the document for us. Lincoln is the manager of our current plan. They asked us for a plan document. I turned around and asked them for a plan document. They said, we don't have a plan document. So I said, well, none of our investors have a plan document, so let's create one. So that's the impetus for doing this. But I think the upside of this is it will give us, first of all, the employees get the benefit of a more effective plan. They also know what the plan says because you can read it. And then we will be able to take that subsequent step.
Okay, I'll move a motion, I'll make a motion to proceed with the development of a plan document by the Lincoln Financial Group.
Second.
That's good. The motion's made and seconded. Is there further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The next is a public notice, actually two public notices from Coastal Resources Management Council of proposed rulemaking amendments. One amendment will be made to management procedures, the other amendment to the Red Book. Both of those hearings is November 14th. I would also point out that November 14th is the date for the hearing on the Bowen Oyster Farm in this same general meeting schedule. So I have looked at both of these and will obviously take any comments anybody else has. My sense is these are, my word, documenting in nature. They are not changes in approach or the way that rules are enforced, rather they are
So you're talking about,
You're increasing the fines.
editorial.
There you go,
Oh, they're
Gary.
increasing the fine? We just did that earlier this evening.
Yeah.
So,
Motion to place on file, both
Second.
documents.
Second.
discussion. All in favor? Next is a letter received from the Eastern Rhode Island Conservation District requesting grant funds for the next fiscal year, fiscal '25, to be placed in the town council budget review folder for fiscal
so
'25.
moved.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
And the abatement list submitted by the tax assessor.
Motion to approve the abatement list as written.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Payment of bills.
Motion to
Pay the
bills. Second.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded to pay bills. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any? There being no other matter before the council this evening, I declare the meeting adjourned. Thank you for your attention.
Made Larry drop his